Good morning, and thank you for joining us here on the Morning Medical Update. I'm Jessica Lovell. It is summer, and just like many of you, we are working hard to bring you some fun and exciting shows come fall. This morning, we are bringing you a rebroadcast of one of our favorite shows. If you have any questions, please leave them below. We will answer them during our live broadcasts on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So sit back and enjoy this Best of Morning Medical Update. Good morning, everyone. It is Thursday, October 28th. Welcome into the Morning Medical Update. Today, we are talking about living kidney donation. You are going to hear from an incredible guy with an incredible story to share. He is a KC native, but was whisked away to Hollywood, where he has appeared in many movies, TV shows, recently a Disney movie. But all of that got put on hold when during the pandemic, he found out that he needed a new kidney. And he needed it fast. He found a creative way to find that new kidney and he is lending his powerful voice to help others searching for their kidney. We'll talk with him and the doctor who helped make that all happen. But first, let's get to Medical Director of Infection Prevention and Control, Dr. Dana Hawkinson. He's got our numbers this morning. Good morning to you.
Hi.
Hi.
Good wet Thursday.
Ugh, I know, right?
Good for our lawns, though.
Bad for the hair, good for the lawns.
So here at the health system, we have 18 active infections with 8 in the ICU and 4 on the ventilator. We still have 28 in that recovery period, in that recovery category. So 46 total patients, and Hayes has 12 active and 4 recovery for a total of 16 as well.
All
So
right.
it's not going away.
It's not going away, and I think, despite the cases going down or somewhat of a plateau, I kind of anticipate this might be our new normal for the next week or 2 or 3.
I'm with you.
I hope
that's
it goes
right.
down, but
Yeah. Still a little nervous as the weather gets a little chillier, the rain's falling, people are going indoors. It's going to be hard to keep mask mandates in place. I think there's an awful lot. I think it's going to be hard come early November when everybody has to re-examine that question. And so my gut feeling is that we may see a little bit of a rise. Hopefully, with more folks vaccinated, we won't be like we were this last late summer, early fall. But I expect that we're going to see a little bit more of a rise. But we'll see how that goes.
But kids' vaccines could help?
I think the kids' vaccines will help. Getting the 5 to 11-year-olds vaccinated, continue to get more 12 to 18 or 12 to 16-year-olds vaccinated, and in fact, get everybody vaccinated. I think we'd be in even a lot better shape. And Hawkeye, there's just no question about the safety and reliability of these vaccines.
yeah, certainly. And we talked about this a little bit yesterday too. We do see a lot of either just lack of knowledge or conscious misinformation, but we continue to get more information that the risk of things like myocarditis and the neurological symptom Guillain-Barré syndrome are much higher, multiple times higher getting COVID-19 than they are getting the vaccine. So I think, continuing, to get endorsing that message, getting the vaccine is the way to go. It will help reduce long haul syndrome. It will help reduce those complications that everybody are concerned about from the vaccine, which are very minimal when you compare it to what happens or what is that risk if you actually get COVID-19.
And the data coming out in the New England Journal of Medicine last night about the waning of immunity for the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine in Israel, arguing again, making sure folks who are eligible go get that booster. I think that's going to help us all stay safe. Speaking of which, how's your arm today?
It doesn't even hurt.
A little bit of soreness, but let's go, man. Influenza vaccine, make sure you get that too.
But I think the key to that too, though, is that yes, they did still see some severe infections, but it was much less than if they were unvaccinated.
Absolutely.
population.
The hospitalization and death still remain great, even at 6 months. Pfizer, Moderna, J&J.
All right, good stuff. Hey, Dr. Hawkinson, take a look at this. We wanted to show you this chart that shows the number of people admitted to the University of Kansas Hospital as of Tuesday. You can see how many people vaccinated that are in the hospital for COVID-19 compared to those who are not vaccinated. Just kind of help us understand that graph a little bit.
Yeah, so I think the blue, let me pull that up. It's
Okay.
a bit more difficult to look at. But basically, we're just saying all of the. We can see the total numbers, and again, these are off by, like you said, it's probably numbers from Tuesday, and we could see at that point we had 4 fully vaccinated people. Those are in blue, and obviously the white is the overall cases, and that's kind of just more of a picture, a cartoon graphic of the numbers that we gave on Tuesday, just showing again. The vaccinated versus unvaccinated is, again, as we said Tuesday as well, we don't even know if all of those people that were vaccinated were in for COVID-19 symptoms. I think a couple of them were, but another one I think it had a fall. So it's not really clear that they were in for COVID-19 symptoms as well.
So what we know is that when people come into the hospital, we still do COVID screening. And
Yeah.
so you may come into the hospital because you had a motor vehicle accident or you're going to have hip surgery. If you're COVID-19 positive, you show up on there. And so what we know is in general, about half of the time on these vaccinated patients are coming in, the COVID-19 test was they're asymptomatic and they tested positive on a screening test. And about half the time they're coming in with maybe some COVID symptoms. That's not a surprise. Again, the vaccinations protect against severe hospitalizations and death, and because they're so effective, they actually help reduce transmission, and they do help reduce your ability to get it. So those are all good things, and that's why you see overwhelmingly, we are the unvaccinated of the people who are coming in. There are 85% of our patients who are coming in with this are unvaccinated. If you get to the ICU, it's 99% are unvaccinated. The only people who get sick enough to go into the ICU with COVID-19 and are vaccinated are people who've had organ transplants and had only had 2 shots, or they're on chemotherapy and they just don't get a response. And as we know now, organ transplant patients, Tim, should be getting at least 3 shots and a booster. So that's really 4 shots. Yeah. So are you guys going that way with your folks?
We are moving towards the 4th shot as a booster. All of our transplant patients are currently recommended to get the 3rd shot because we know that the response rate is anywhere from 0 to 85% for the 2 shots. Average about 60% of people will respond. With the 3rd shot, it's even higher, and then we're recommending a booster after the 3rd shot.
Yeah, so it's 1 shot 3 months apart, followed by a booster at 6 months after your 3rd shot, I think. Is that the recommendation for you all?
I believe it is going to be the recommendation. I don't exactly know the timing of that last shot, but
Yep.
we certainly are going to recommend everybody.
I think it's a big deal.
I think we saw a little bit of guidance. It's at least at or more than 6 months after that 3rd. So
The other big news last night is this thing about using an antidepressant to help diminish symptoms.
Yeah.
That broke in the newspapers, and it was
Yeah.
it's in the New England Journal and some other places too. So, what are your thoughts about
yeah,
that?
I still have a lot of skepticism. I'm really skeptical of any of these drugs that are repurposed, just as far as showing a benefit. It looks safe. We do know that in this study, some of the people had to drop out just because of tolerability, nausea, unable to take the full course. I did talk with a couple of our docs yesterday, and Mario Castro, and so I think a lot of people are excited to see if this keeps people out of the hospital. Again, reading the headline, reading the title of that article, it would look like it's promising. However, if you go down to, for instance, table 3 in that article, and when they comment on those results, they say, compared to placebo, this drug did not reduce viral clearance or improve viral clearance. It didn't reduce the hospital days, didn't reduce the amount of hospitalization, did not reduce mortality. So I think there are still a lot of things that I haven't really understood yet, and we will be discussing that in our therapeutics committee as well. So I think there are some possible good points and benefits, and we know that a lot of people would like to see that benefit. But I think it's still unclear as of yet. It's a little bit different than what their headline said, and I think their main point and their main result was that it helped reduce your chance of going to the hospital or either the emergency department for an observation period, which was 6 hours or more, or transfer to a tertiary care hospital. And again, this study was done in Brazil, so some of their practices may be different here.
Yeah.
So I think we still need a little bit more information on it. We also know that there are 2 other large trials going on with this drug as well. So hopefully we will get that definitive answer.
Yeah, we'll know more soon.
So what I hear you saying is that we should get our vaccine.
Yeah, darn right.
I'm just coming down to
I've
my
never
level.
said that before. Never said it before.
That
Get a
what you're
vaccination. Be worried about an antidepressant for this. I'm kind of where Hawkeye is. I'm a little suspicious about whether that's really going to pan out, but we just need more information.
Okay, good
And
to know.
that's the other thing. My concern is we're going to start now prescribing 10 or 15 days of an antidepressant, which we know in some of these people, they were unable to tolerate it, the full dosing or the full duration. 10 or 15 days of an antidepressant.
He may already be on another antidepressant. He may have other drugs because it does interact with some stuff. So I just think we have to be very leery of this, and let's learn more. But vaccination, we've learned enough.
All right, sounds good. All right, so we got a really great show today, and I just want to make sure everybody knows Dr. Tim Schmidt's with us. He's director of transplantation. So good to have you today.
Thanks for having me.
We got one of your great patients with us, so we're going to introduce him here in just a quick minute. But I want to see if there's any reporter questions on the line with us. And we're good? Okay. I want to give people enough time. I always cut them off. All right, so we're going to get to your YouTube and Facebook community questions here in just a few minutes. But first, want to introduce you to a man who was living the dream after his acting career took him out to LA. But those dreams came to a halt with the news that his kidneys don't work. But an online search for a new kidney, an old friend, and the transplant team here at our health system took Aaron J. from actor to advocate. Watch this. Recognize this guy?
Greetings. I am Olu. Oh, snap!
What about him?
I'm a mechanic. I work on cars, not Spider-Man.
Kansas City native turned Hollywood actor Aaron J. was living the LA dream when an unexpected plot twist cast Aaron in a real-life role he never auditioned for.
I went through, the gamut of emotions.
It was April 2020, the beginning of the pandemic, when he received this news from doctors.
Hey, has anyone ever told you your kidneys don't work? And I was like, well, no, why would they tell me that? Like, no. He's like, oh, well, your kidneys don't work.
Hi, Aaron. How are you doing today?
Aaron was eventually diagnosed with stage 4 renal disease. What Aaron thought might be COVID turned out was full-on kidney failure, and he needed a new kidney fast.
Friends and family out of nowhere just started pouring love into me.
Time was not on Aaron's side, but a few Hollywood friends were.
Started this campaign, and people like Cedric the Entertainer shared it, and Zendaya, and Lena Waithe, and Yvette Nicole Brown. Like, all my beautiful friends that are celebrities started to share this.
An online search to find a new kidney led him to an old friend, Amy.
It was a roller coaster ride, because then you go through the thought process of, well, who's gonna sacrifice their organ for me?
Amy wasn't a perfect match, but she did match another patient at the Center for Transplantation at the University of Kansas Health System. They became part of what's called a kidney exchange.
I feel blessed, grateful.
Their reconnection ultimately led to 3 people getting a life-saving kidney.
They say that you don't know exactly how bad you feel until you get the new kidney, and I was like, I don't know what that means, but now I do probably feel the best that I felt in the last year and a half of my life.
And now Aaron believes in real-life superheroes.
If you've ever wondered how close you could get to being a superhero, this is it. That's the closest you can get, is by being a live donor and donating an organ to save somebody else's life. That's it. That's how important it is. Like, you're a legit superhero.
Aaron posted this video updating his condition 1 month out from surgery.
I'm ready to get back to what I was doing, living life and pursuing my dreams. And I know that I can't do that just yet because there is a healing process.
While he continues to heal, he's enjoying a new role.
I got a kind of a second gift of life. And I think the best way to say thank you for that is to do good by it.
He's sharing his story to help raise awareness about organ donation.
I want to help, I want to give back, and I want to help people find the same hope that I was able to find.
I tell you what, nothing's gonna ruin my mood today.
And soon, Aaron will find himself back in the limelight on the big screen.
You know what, you should try aspirin.
Forever playing the part of kidney transplant recipient
Kidney time!
and grateful man.
This is my faith in humanity. Not that it was ever wavering, but it's definitely stronger now than it ever was. I'm looking forward to, getting back to the EJ that you know and love.
Okay, so the EJ we know and love is joining us virtually this morning. So glad to see you, friend. How are you?
I'm well. Good morning.
Good morning to you. How was it to see your story put up there on the screen?
Oh man, it's you guys did an amazing job. It's so heartfelt. Amy and I watched it together on the phone last night, so I
Well,
love it.
good. Well, good. Well, it's just so nice to see what you're doing and to see your face this morning. And alongside with Dr. Stites and me as director, like I said, a director of transplantation here at the health system, Dr. Tim Schmidt. He was Aaron's kidney transplant doctor. We're going to bring you into the conversation here in just a moment. But Aaron, I just want to start with you. First of all, what was it like to find out that you were about to go through this during a pandemic, first of all?
First thoughts was that it was a death sentence, and due to the pandemic, I was all alone. It was right at the start, 2 weeks after everything was announced and everything was closing in Los Angeles. So I was in a hospital room by myself, not knowing what to do or what was happening, and everything seemed like it was moving so fast. So it took a while to process all of that.
Yeah, I bet. Okay, so we talk about social media a lot on here, and it can certainly be a negative thing. Dr. Stites, as we say, it puts out a lot of negative information, but this time you used it for the good. It paid off. What made you decide to use this route to share your personal story?
So I've always looked at social media as a tool and a key to connect to people. I remember when Facebook started, I was in college. And so that's how we used it, as a college platform to connect to other classmates. And I've always kept that same ideology about social media. And I was like, oh, well, maybe if I can use social media to reach as many people as possible, if I share it and then 2 people see that and they share it, and then 3 of their people see it and they share it, and so on and on and on, then hopefully, somewhere down the line of all those shares and all those likes, someone who wanted to step up and get tested and be a match for me would appear.
And through all that, you reconnected with Amy, and Amy stepped up to see if she was your match. And that's where I want to bring in Dr. Schmidt, because I want to talk a little bit more about these kidney exchanges and how this all works. Amy was not an exact match, but because she was willing to come forward and offer up her living kidney, it freed up somebody else's to give to Aaron, and so on and so forth. So she really kind of, triggered this exchange. Tell us a little bit about how that works.
Yeah, this situation where people will come forward to be a donor and they're not a match for their recipient, but they still want to give. And so if there's more than one of those pairs, sometimes we can create a chain where one person will give their kidney to the other person, and that donor will give it back to the person who started the chain. And it can be as many as 2 pairs, or we had a 5-pair exchange, and then there's larger pairs that have happened out there in the country. So it's a great way for people to give and help the person they want to give, but they can't
But to be
directly.
clear, that person's not giving a kidney to another person who's giving a kidney. They're giving their kidney to another patient, and then that person's friend's giving it to another person to give it to a patient. Eventually, somebody can give it to Aaron. Is that
Right, it'd be like
you're not giving it to another healthy
it'd be like
person. You're
Dana's
another kidney failure.
Dana's donor wouldn't match him, and my donor wouldn't match me, and yours wouldn't match you. But all 3 of us would be able to swap.
We could flip around and
we
make
could
it
flip
work.
around, and
Yeah,
it
that's
works.
kidney swap.
Well,
Kidney
and you've
swap.
got to get everybody on board with that, because a lot of times you come forward and let's say I want to give my kidney to you, and you're like, but you can't, but you can give it to him, and so you have to get people all on board to say, great, let's do that. I can't help my friend. Now I'm going to help a stranger. So I think
So
that's
really, we're like kidney swingers, is what we are.
Kidney swingers.
That's what we're
I
doing.
don't know if that's something that I want to be involved with.
Okay, don't put that on the air, people. Take that off.
So we're just going there.
that.
It's not even the weekend yet, and you're
I know,
going there.
I know.
That's for
Well,
Friday. You say
it
that
was
for
a
Friday.
pretty good line, though.
It was pretty
It was
good.
pretty good. I agree
Only
with
you
you.
can get away with that good stuff.
You'd be surprised though if people who come forward to be a donor. We've never really had anybody say they wouldn't give it to the stranger in order to help their friend.
Absolutely. And I've done several of these stories with you. I've been in your OR when you've been doing this, and it's so phenomenal to watch. But so many people say, I couldn't give money. I couldn't really give a lot of time, but I could give an organ. And I'm like, well, that's kind of a big
That's a
darn
pretty
deal.
big deal.
Right?
It's a big deal, and it's one of the greatest gifts that we are able to give patients. And I know people who receive the kidney feel so much better right away.
Well, that was one of my questions. You see these patients, and I was there with you, and I think you went over to Aaron's bedside right before you went into the OR, and then you see them right after, and you see that, and I've heard patients say they feel it. It's one of those procedures that you almost feel immediately.
Yeah, kidney disease is so insidious that you tend to feel bad, and you don't even know it until you feel good again, and then it's like, wow, I really felt bad, and I didn't even know it.
Aaron?
You know who had the biggest smile? after they got done watching that video was Aaron. I just loved watching your expression up there because you glowed, man. It was so cool to watch that. You're
Right.
like, okay, that's somebody who understands what a gift is.
It really is, and to see it from sitting back and watching your story kind of play out in front of everyone, it's really phenomenal. What has this experience been? Well, you've had so many cool experiences, and where does this rank among just how important this whole journey has been for you? Because now I know you're out talking about it, you're advocating for kidney donation. Tell us a little bit more about what you're doing.
So this would definitely rank. It's up there, like number one. I haven't had kids. I haven't been married, so this has to be number one, I would think. It's been a journey of learning a lot about myself. I've had to learn what it truly means to receive. I was raised, by my mother. She always raised me to share and to be a giver and to give love. But it wasn't necessarily taught to me on how to receive love. And I think that's been the most beautiful lesson through all of this. And now that I've been able to receive the love, I'm able to return to giving it. I spoke at the National Kidney Foundation a few weeks ago for their Big Ask, Big Give event here locally. And then I'm going to speak at the national event as well for them. And just, trying to go into, these dialysis centers and work with them and some of these patients and just give them hope. That's really what it is just giving hope. A good friend of mine from college, he just found out last week that he needs a kidney as well and started dialysis last Tuesday. And I told him, I was like, hey, but what I know now, there's no reason we can't get you what you need as soon as possible. So that's kind of like, that's where I am. I want to help as many people. I want to teach as many people about what kidney disease is as well.
Dr. Schmidt, I want to ask you, because he mentioned dialysis. If somebody isn't able to get that kidney, what does life look like for them?
Yeah, if your kidney disease is bad enough where you need to go on to dialysis, generally that's a big quality of life problem. Sometimes 3 times a week, 3 to 4 hours at a time, really feeling run down afterwards. It basically takes over your life, chronic disease. There's other forms of dialysis, but that's the most common type, and it's really a poor quality of life these patients have with dialysis.
Is this hereditary? Is this a hereditary issue?
There are some kidney diseases that are hereditary. The most common causes of kidney disease in the U.S. are hypertension, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, but there are certainly forms of hereditary kidney disease.
Okay, so we talk about the spare kidney. There's 2. Is it the only organ we have that we have 2 of and we don't need the other one? What is that about?
Well, there are certainly
You careful what you say here now.
there are other pairs, but you need both lungs.
Well, you do need both lungs, right?
You can there are donors for, you can give a lobe of your lung, and especially a parent
Partial.
will give that to a child.
Yeah.
And so the child grows, and eventually they may need some more help, but it can really be, there are living donors for that as well.
And does that lung grow with a child?
They grow, but they don't really ever get full lung
Right.
function.
Right.
But livers can also be done the same way.
Livers, you can take half of a liver. You only have one liver, but you can split it in half. The kidney is really the one pair that you can certainly take one out and the other person can live a normal life without that kidney.
Good to know. All right.
Are there anybody doing their own research on if they would like the kidney instead of keeping on dialysis or not? Or
Yeah.
is it a pretty readily accepted
Quality of life better with your kidney than
pretty
with...
readily accepted that they would go for transplant versus continuing to be on dialysis?
Yeah, I mean, everybody who could be a transplant recipient would rather have that kidney than to be on dialysis.
Yeah, I think that's true. When even in a lung transplant, which is hard, right? These patients, that first visit back after the lung transplant, when they're out of the hospital and they come to see you, that's like the greatest visit of all time from a physician's standpoint, because everybody wants to give everybody a hug because they feel so much better. It's just so different. And I bet Aaron would have felt the same way. I bet you were ready to hug people once you said, "Holy cow, do I feel better?"
Oh, for sure. Every time I come in for the labs or for clinics with Dr. Seabrook, I'm just always so gracious to everybody at the hospital because everybody it's like KU Medical is like a family, and I've learned names and they wave at me and they have my birthday memorized now. You have to give it so much to check in. And I just I see everyone literally as family now there.
I know. I think I ran into you in the cafeteria. No surprise, I was in there eating, and then I ran into you, and I think we did a little arm bump. But so life has changed. You're back to feeling better. And what's next as far as just checking up and making sure that you're on the road back to LA?
So I had my 90-day graduation last Tuesday, as Dr. Siebert called it. So now I am down to labs once a week, and I see her for clinics every other month. So I'll see her again here in I think the beginning of January. The plan is mid-January to relocate back to Los Angeles and kind of to integrate back into it all and get to living the dream again and following my passions and ambitions.
I can't wait to see what's next. Fun story.
That is a great story. I want to see you in that uniform. You look kind of scary to me in the uniform, though. So
we're pulling
Watch
up
out for
pictures
that.
of you in some of your roles. So yeah,
that's all right there. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
there. Oh yeah, pumping it up. Hey, Aaron, what advice do you have?
That was a
Go ahead.
kids show. I was just gonna say that was a kids show, so that was just a photo op.
Okay.
Hey, so what would your advice be to somebody who is thinking about or living organ donation and just what it's meant to you? We know what it's meant. It's given you your life back. But just what advice would you have about people just doing their research and seeking it out to see if it's right for them?
The best advice that I could give someone who's considering it is to talk to somebody else who's already done it. I was so fortunate to be blessed with a team of girls called Team Be More. Aaron and Brianna, you can find them all over social media, just Team Be More. I had found them, they were on Ellen last season and talking about their advocacy for kidney failure. Aaron was a recipient, Brianna was her live donor. They were total strangers at the time. But I was blessed to, be able to friend them throughout this process. And both agreed to talk to any and everybody who wanted to have a conversation, and they kept it private. And, I didn't even know people, apparently a lot of people called them or sent them messages, asking, what the process was and how they felt and, what they went through. And they were very candid with everybody. They never, held punches. They told them everything, the good and the bad. And Amy also talked to Brianna, I found out. And that was one of Amy's deciding factors after talking to her, that she really wanted to go through with this. So I would say find somebody who you can talk to, who you know and trust, that has already been through it.
Hey, Aaron, we're going to get to some community questions because I know that they are out there. My first one is from Tanya. What test would show you are in renal failure?
Typically, some lab work, your electrolytes, kidney function with the creatinine and BUN, those tests will typically show what your kidney function is.
What would I just feel like on a daily basis that would maybe make me want to go see my doctor?
People will tend to feel headaches, run down, tired, muscle cramping, just not right. Those could be some signs of early kidney
Gives them
failure.
joint discomfort, and their skin can even turn a little color. That there is that uremic skin.
Yeah.
The breath can be a little funny, and I think. But the number one thing is fatigue, really, for chronic kidney disease. It's just I just don't feel good, and the reason is that kidneys filter a lot of stuff out, and you get rid of a lot of toxins. I mean, the kidney and the liver are the two things that get rid of the toxins, and when you breathe out. But when those toxins build up, they cause a sort of low level of injury to the rest of your body, and you just feel tired and washed out, and you have a hard time getting around. You have a hard time doing the things that you like to do. You want to see, and eventually you start losing weight because you actually don't handle protein correctly.
So would that then be a test that would naturally be ran along with kind of the battery of tests you talk about if you are just feeling fatigued, which could be a number of things, but that would be included.
The lab test for it is it's basically one of the screening labs we do on just about anybody, and so it's not hard to figure out. It's a part of if you do an annual labs or whatever, you're going to find if your kidney function's a little elevated. It's pretty routine.
Yeah.
What keeps our kidneys the healthiest? What do we do to stay away from you, Dr. Schmidt?
Just the general advice we give every patient, good diet, healthy activity, exercise, eat right, maintain a good weight, all that
Stay
stuff.
hydrated.
Stay hydrated.
Stay really hydrated.
Avoid Advil and those kind of medicines.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we do hear a lot about that when
Yeah,
you
we
take that. That's always on the bottle. This could
Yeah.
cause some sort of kidney damage.
And we'll see that typically in the summer, especially when kids are doing their 2-a-day football practices. They're dehydrated. They take a bunch of Advil, and then, they can run into acute kidney failure that way.
Do you see young kids?
We don't typically get them to renal failure to transplant, but they'll be coming in to see the ER doctors with renal failure that can resolve because of that.
Wow, that's good to know.
Yeah,
That's-
the answer here is
Youth
this.
helps them resolve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
The answer is you got to stay really hydrated. What can you do at home to protect your kidneys? Eat
Hydrate
well,
and
right?
drink a
Don't
lot of
don't
fluid.
smoke, because smoking causes some renal vascular disease. The blood vessels that go into the kidneys can get narrowed, and that can cause a lot of kidney injury. So don't smoke. Stay really hydrated, and if you're gonna go out and exercise a lot, okay, but you gotta stay really hydrated, because you can actually induce kidney failure. Sometimes when you see what are the injuries that occur with people when they're out there, they have heat exhaustion and all that. It can be a lot of end organ dysfunction or a disease or damage to your organ, and the number one organ that's going to get hammered by that often is the kidney. So stay hydrated, be thoughtful about what you're doing. Don't try and be a he-man or he-woman all the time.
Okay, Isaac has a question, and I love your question. Will holding it too long, you're having to go to the bathroom, does that cause kidney damage?
I want to see you take that on, because I have to pee right now.
Me too. I'm like, during the show, this is what happens.
I've been drinking too much
all
water. I'm
We
afraid of
run
it.
from the studio.
coffee,
Yeah.
I would say, generally speaking, no, it's not going to cause you to have kidney failure, but long-term obstruction, prostate disease, stone disease,
Okay.
problems with genetic abnormalities of your bladder or drainage will cause kidney failure, but not holding it during the football game or when
Or
you're
right now.
driving or
Oh, right now, that's exactly it.
Every morning from 8 to 9.
Yes, it's our 8 to 9. Yeah, we
I
kind
think
of.
you'll
You're
be
drinking
all
the
right.
big
I think
coffee
you'll be
over there. I'm just here drinking water.
I love
I'm already-
caffeine, man.
But
It's
I'm
a
old,
good
so,
drug.
you
It's
know.
a good drug. It's a healthy
But that's
drug.
a really good question, because I do think that you think that something's. But I'm glad you bring that up. That something's happening that isn't good if you're holding it.
No, I mean,
So just
you
go to
should
the bathroom.
Just go to the bathroom.
Okay, go to the bathroom. Yeah, that's your body telling
Yeah.
you something's got to get out.
Here's my funny. So my patients will come in, and especially some of these transplant patients or my CF patients, and they get worsening lung disease, and folks don't like to go to the bathroom because it makes them they get short of breath, and so what do they not do? They quit drinking fluid.
Yeah,
and then their
That's
kidneys,
not good.
and then their
There you
creatinine
go.
starts to rise, and you're like, no, you got to drink fluid. Well, it makes me short of breath when I got to pee. Okay, well, we got to figure this one out, because you can't because then if you have kidney disease, then that gets to be a bigger challenge. And
That's a really good point.
so, Aaron, I'm just going to ask you. So, once you had a new kidney, and you started getting to go to the bathroom again and peeing, and that probably felt really good.
I remember very. I remember the first time.
Yeah, talk about that.
I actually got to urinate was in the hospital room, and my mother was there. My mother just started screaming, "Oh my God, he's peeing! He's peeing! He's peeing!"
It's the little things in
best.
life, right?
Well, but that's a
Love
great
it.
story,
That's a great
because if
thing,
you
yeah.
can't, you think there's this normal thing we all do, but all of a sudden with kidney disease, you don't do it, and Aaron, that's perfect.
So back up. So
Okay.
when you have kidney disease, it's harder to urinate, or it hurts to urinate.
Your kidneys don't make as much urine.
Yeah, you
Okay.
won't make as much urine. So that would be another sign. If you realize you're not making as much urine as you used to, that could be a sign as
Okay.
well.
Your feet start to swell, your legs
Yeah.
start to swell, and all of a sudden you're like, hey, this is trouble in River
I think,
City.
To
Not really a
Aaron's
river.
point, I think it would behoove us, for all of us, on a daily basis, to find those little things in life that we need to be thankful for, because that certainly helps.
Yeah,
Let's
for
get through the day.
sure. So peeing
Just wait
felt
till you're
good.
61 years old, and that event becomes every 2 hours.
Hey, I bet you Aaron
Not-
would say
not
he'd rather
sleeping
pee
at
every
night,
2 hours
right.
than not at all.
Absolutely. I mean, Aaron, every 2 hours is better than none. I'm sure that's how you feel.
Yes.
Okay.
See, Aaron didn't
Yes.
know this program was like this, did he? Did
Right.
you prepare him for this? Chaz?
There's his one.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
Yes,
about.
you didn't know we were going to
we
ask you about your
hydrate.
first time
Yeah.
urinating, but thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Deb wants to
Like
know,
the
does
first
a history of kidney stones put you at a greater risk for renal failure, kidney disease?
Not generally, but it does impact your ability to be a kidney donor. We
Okay.
usually don't use kidneys from people who have stones because it could put them at risk for their one kidney left to have a problem.
Okay, so then Rebecca wants to know, what are those lower and upper age limits to be able to donate a live kidney?
We typically only take donors from adults, so 18 and older, but I think we've used donors up into the high 60s.
I think that's the first story I did hear, actually working here, was a gentleman who was actually, I love the story. His wife needed a kidney, and then she ended up not needing one, but he already said, well, I already said I'd give one, so I'm just going to give it to a stranger. And
Yeah.
so very altruistic, the true altruistic donor.
That's awesome.
So, question about, so from Pamela, since there's still not a lot known about COVID and the long-term effects, can COVID long haulers still donate organs?
We believe so. I mean, we've seen now with some of the UNOS data that
UNOS is the United Network of Organ Sharing. They
Right.
tell us all about what's going on
Yes.
with that. Yep,
they've
yep,
been
yep.
following donors and COVID and the impacts on transplant since March of 2020 now. Has it been that long?
It's been that long.
There is the long haul syndrome, but so far it hasn't had any effect in the people who have received donors from or received organs from donors who had COVID in the past.
And actually, you get to expand on it because you are also transplanting people who have had COVID recently. And how's that going?
So far, good. The data from UNOS shows that the risk of transmission of COVID to a non-lung recipient is fairly low. There have been reports of people who have COVID positive transmitted in the lung, but so far no real transmissions from COVID positive donors to non-lung recipients.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah, because the lung disease is a little different since it's primarily a lung disease. You're transmitting a whole bunch of viruses. That would be bad, I think. But the other organs not as much. And so it is interesting how that
Yeah.
infectious disease stuff sort of works out in this world.
And it's all weighing the risks versus the benefit. You know, if you're on the kidney transplant list or the liver transplant risk, your risk of dying is real. The risk of getting the COVID from that donor is negligible. So we feel like it's a balancing act.
And you guys are saying now you got to be vaccinated to be transplanted too.
Yeah, we've started to mandate the vaccine for people on the transplant list so that they can have less of a chance to get COVID after transplant.
Because we do know if you get it, it can be pretty devastating to transplant patients. And so we really want them. And so we've said, look, guys, you got to be vaccinated. Otherwise, you shouldn't be getting that organ because there's a scarcity of organs.
Yeah.
And so you don't want to, you got to be a good steward of that.
Is that a new practice, mandating or regulating, making sure that they have vaccines prior to transplant?
Yeah, over the last couple of months with COVID, it's new. But
I mean, with vaccination.
Vaccines, we've flu, hepatitis B, that's been pretty consistent through.
Yeah, tetanus. You guys really require a full load of vaccination. So this is just one more.
Just one more on top of the usual gamut of stuff we recommend for patients to have.
Okay.
Because if you look at it, if you have to go through a liver transplant, you have a 1 to 5% chance of dying in that year. Kidney transplant, 1 to 2%. If you get COVID after transplant, you have a 10 to 30% chance of dying. So the risk of COVID is higher than the operation.
Wow.
So if you do the numbers and the math, the risk of the vaccine, 0. The risk of getting the virus, really problematic.
Yeah. Good point. Okay, so we have a few more questions. And somebody made a bad joke and said that Dr. Stites is a real whiz.
Oh, that's pretty good. I like that.
That's a joke
Okay.
in line with
No.
Stites. I mean,
Okay.
that's one of your jokes.
It is one of my.
Such
Can
a
I just say,
dad joke there.
It's
I
a
like it.
dad joke, and I do a lot of
It's
them.
a dad joke from one
Actually,
Logan
somebody told me the
Blankenship.
best joke yesterday. Why was the young strawberry sad?
Why?
Why was the young strawberry
Why?
sad?
Why?
Because her mother was in a jam.
Oh,
Okay,
that
I
is
have
such
a I know it's bad. Okay, Dister, do you remember what the original name of Sporting Kansas City was? Because I remember.
Yeah.
Because I have their hat.
Yeah.
the
Whiz.
whiz.
And they changed the name because of that.
Oh, that was way more fun.
There you go.
Okay, so Jerry on YouTube is asking, what % of transplants come from deceased organ donors versus live donors? Do we have those somewhat stats on that?
At our center, it's probably 25 to 30% are live donors for kidney, and 65 are cadaveric donors.
And to be clear, live donors come from people finding their own match
Finding
or
their
kidney.
own, or someone comes up to do that for them. There are a variety of ways people get their live donation.
And the benefit of live over deceased, explain that.
It's a scheduled operation. You don't have to wait on the list for as long. The kidneys tend to work better and last longer.
Because they can last up to 10 years alive, right?
They can
Or
last.
plus?
The average half-life of a live donor is 14 to 15
Oh, wow,
years. The
fantastic.
half-life of a cadaveric donor is 9 to 10 years. Meaning most of them will last, or half will get that. More than half will go higher.
Hey, Aaron, do you have kidney disease in your family? Anybody else have this issue?
Just me. I'm the only one.
So that's why it came as such a surprise.
Yeah. I didn't know anything about it. I've seen these dialysis centers like DaVita they're all over the place. There's thousands of them, but I never knew what they did in those. I never knew anything about kidney disease. I've never been asked to be a donor other than on my driver's license.
So you're a total expert now, and you didn't ask to be, but you are now.
Yeah, Dr. Schmidt, can I be on payroll? Is that okay?
Yeah, just ask Steve. He's got all the money.
Yeah, we'll talk later, Schmidt.
He could be a great spokesperson for our center.
Were you on dialysis for a while?
I was on dialysis. They started dialysis in the hospital last April 2020, all the way up until the Monday before transplant in July.
Yeah, that's a big deal. That is so hard.
A little off topic. Amber, excuse me, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, it's very difficult because you usually have to start with the catheter. And while your fistula is healing for all those weeks, and the catheter is so uncomfortable, and you just have these tubes sticking out. And I think a lot of people don't really understand like what dialysis entails and what it really is and how it does affect the body. So
yeah. So did you stay with your mom? Was that a good help for recovery? So we got to give a shout out to your mom, I bet.
My mom and my aunt, so my mom she flew through a pandemic she lives in Miami. So she flew from Miami to Los Angeles during the start of a pandemic, like no questions asked. She stayed with me for about a month and a half out there. Her and my friends Kamal, Emma, and Catfish. His name is Catfish. We call him Catfish. But those four really, really helped set me up for success. And then my mother suggested that I come back to Kansas City to live with my aunt in the family house, and to do everything and recover and everything, and hopefully get listed at KU, and which the plan worked. So I was only listed at KU for 6 months before I got my kidney.
One of the important stories is it takes a village.
I was just going to say how important that story there is to someone's recovery.
I know it's true for all chronic disease.
Okay, I've got one COVID question. Well, and one a little off-topic question. Amberly on YouTube asking if Dr. Schmidt is starting No Shave November a little early this year. You never shave.
I'm just mostly lazy, so I don't.
He spends so much time in the OR that
he just
don't give him that much
saving
credit.
lives.
Saving lives.
Do you not shave? Because
Not rarely, very rarely do I shave.
He looks funny without a beard.
I know. I was like, I like the facial
I
hair.
look young
face.
without
He
it, so I
just
have to
looks
pretend.
young.
It just makes me look like I have some knowledge.
He doesn't
Makes
look
you
like
look
he looks
glasses
funny.
glasses to make you look smarter, and beards.
Well, no, listen. If I grew a beard, it would look terrible. As I've tried before, it doesn't work. And glasses, because I'm blind.
You should.
Because you're what?
Blind without it.
Because you're blind. Okay.
Without this on, Hawkeye looks like, a peanut. I don't know. He looks.
You should grow a beard next time you're out in the wilderness.
Oh,
doing your
do.
fishing. Just grow. Come back
That would
with
be
one.
good.
I have done that several
Grizzly
times.
Adams, come on.
Yeah, Grizzly
Okay,
Adams.
we're gonna. It's
Lord, here we
Doppelganger
go.
Thursday, so we're gonna
Here we
tell
go.
you who you look like in just a minute, and
then
we're
you're
not, and we're
challenging.
coming after you, Dr. Schmidt, too. So
Fair
you're
enough.
not getting out of this
Fair
easy
enough.
either. But I want to get to our final thoughts, and Aaron, I just want to start with you first, and do us the honors. Let us know your final thoughts. What you want us all to know today.
First of all, I shave almost every day. You're all very fortunate to have hair on your head. Final thoughts. My mantra during this all, which came from Brianna from Team Be More, I borrowed it from her, was faith over fear. Because, fear of the unknown is a real thing. Like when you're going through this, you don't know if you're going to get a kidney. You don't know if you're going to live long enough to receive a kidney. You don't know if you do get a kidney, if it's going to work. So there's a lot of unknown, which can cause a lot of fear. And so this entire time, I've just practiced my faith in humanity, my faith in my God, and my faith in my village. So I would say, just find something to believe in, especially believe in yourself.
Fantastic. Well said. Hard to follow. But Dr. Schmidt, your final thoughts.
I think Aaron hit on it earlier is how do you become a good patient and take that gift that somebody's going to give to you, because a lot of people are resistant to have a living donor because they're afraid that they're going to hurt the other person. But in reality, in order for you to take a living donor, you're going to live longer, be there for that person, and becoming a patient and giving up control is a huge step. And I don't know if I could do it, but Aaron was one of the best patients because he, like he said, he just had faith in the system, knew we were going to take care of him. And I think he's going to become a real advocate for the country for people to become living donors. So thank you.
Dr. Hawkins, some final thoughts.
Yeah, I was just my thought was your final thought, Jessica. I think, Aaron, his statements, everything that he's talked about today has just been spot on. And I think, just as Dr. Schmidt said, he's going to be a great advocate and a leader moving forward for the nation, probably.
All right, thank you to all of our guests. And
you got final thoughts?
You absolutely get a final thought. Then I'm going to tear into it.
You did, but you know what I'm going to say, right? Aaron first. Thank you. Thanks for telling this story. It was beautiful, brilliant, spot on. Thank you. Faith, hope, science. Faith, hope, science. Faith in yourself, for me, for you. Faith in God. Hope that sustains us through the crisis with our faith and our families and our village, and then science to help us heal. And it takes all three of those. So we hope, in the words that I like to say, Aaron, live long and prosper. Yeah, brother.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Aaron, thanks so much for being with us. We will be in touch. And you are a friend of our show, a friend of our health system, and we plan on seeing you many, many times. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you guys all so much for everything. Nurses, doctors, the lab, the ladies in the lab, all the way down to Lisa, who does the checkouts when I leave my appointments. So I appreciate everybody at KU. Thank you so much.
And they appreciate those shout outs. Thank you so much for doing that. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Bring it on. Bring it on.
Well,
they think I look like John Lithgow. She
Well,
says I look like
okay, so
John
last
Lithgow. Aaron.
week-
What do you think? Is that true?
Now I've got to pull it
John,
up.
and then she sent me pictures and said, "Come on, he looks like that." I'm like,
Aaron,
"No,
take
that's
a
not
look
true."
at these are the doppelgangers that
I
were
think
brought
he's the
up.
judge, right
Okay,
there.
so we're gonna let Aaron give his vote, and then I'm gonna give you the unofficial count. What do you think?
I'm
We got
saying
Joe Montana,
I met-
Daniel Craig, Jeff Goldblum, or John Lithgow.
No, and Dr. Drew.
And
Come
Dr.
on,
Drew,
come
Dr.
on.
Drew.
Man, just leave it out there.
Dr. Drew.
So I've met John Lithgow.
Isn't he great?
He's a fantastic human.
Yes.
And I'm going with John Lithgow.
No, Aaron! No, you can't come back on the show, Aaron.
Aaron, I needed someone. You're the perfect person to have on my side.
Oh my God! Did
You
you
have the
set
picture
that
of,
up?
Now
You
that
set
Aaron
that up,
says it,
Jess.
now you'll probably be like, well, Aaron J said that I look like John Lithgow.
Yeah.
You gotta get some glasses on John Lithgow. It just looks just like Steve.
Wait a minute. I have no suspenders.
Okay, I love it. Okay, Aaron, you're my people. You know that. Okay, so I will just say the first runner-up is, roll it please. First runner-up was Dr. Drew, very handsome man, but he was edged out by the one and only Joe Montana.
Yes. If I only had that arm, baby.
And when I saw your guns yesterday when you gave your
I know
flu
it.
shot,
That looks just like Joe's.
I knew that was it. Now
Yeah,
I do
whatever.
have to say,
Yeah, where was John
Deb-
Lithgow? Last.
no, but Deb said, Dr. Stites is better looking than all of them.
Yeah, see, I like you, Deb. Thank you for that comment.
Christy says, Dr. Stites is Dr. Stites.
Yeah, there you go.
And you did get a couple of Daniel Craigs. I'm not
Thank
quite
you.
sure.
No one
about
can be as
that.
dorky as me, including John Lithgow.
Right. See?
I'm
Okay.
right there.
So, but now I have to tell
And
you,
Spock.
Jerry, one of our YouTube viewers, He just summed the whole thing up. He said, "Oh, I know who Dr. Stites and Dr. Hawkinson look like." Pinky and the
Yeah! Which was Pinky, which was the brain?
I want to be Pinky. That
Yeah,
looks
I
cuter.
wanna-
I want
no,
Pinky.
no. He
I'm the
said,
tall,
I
lanky
think he's the
guy.
brain.
he said they are Pinky and the brain. And I said, and this has now been settled.
Okay, Pinky
so
and the
now,
brain. I'll take it.
Dr. Schmidt, I said, you just pulled these out of your back pocket. I said, who do people tell you look like? And you do have kind of this familiar look about you.
He does.
Pull it up, please. And Aaron, I'm going to so we have Brad Paisley.
No.
We have Chris Harrison from
Oh,
The
God,
Bachelor.
no.
And I'm kind of going there.
No,
And
why do I get John Lithgow and he gets the Bachelor?
A little bit of
Really?
a little bit of EFC.
and Eric
some
Church.
there.
Eric Church.
I
I
have
was
my-
like,
if I
I'm
have
down
my
with that. Okay,
glasses
so
on.
wait, let's.
Where's the picture of the Christmas elf? He looks like the Christmas elf.
Aaron, who
not
do
a
you
bad one
say?
either.
Aaron, what's your vote?
Okay, so I've done 2 commercials with Brad Paisley and Peyton Manning.
Oh, wow.
I don't think you want to look like Brad Paisley. He's a diva.
He's a diva.
You could be.
He's a diva. Nice
I'm not
guy.
that. I'm not a diva.
He's not a diva.
I'm gonna
What
go with Eric.
what if Chris-
elf.
Let's go with
Christmas
Eric
elf.
Church.
I'm going to say Eric
EFC,
Church.
Eric
Church.
Church. There you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think that's a good
That's
one.
pretty good. Get those glasses on. I mean, he's pretty good looking. So we
Well,
have John
would like-
Lithgow and Eric Church.
Man.
I would like to say
I'm off the
that
program.
that our guest, I think we've reached probably the pinnacle of our show that we've ever had, but we've also reached the depths with this last segment that we just did. So
I think so. Yeah, we're really going
Kinda
deep.
Did the
It's-
gambit today.
Right. We talk all important
We
things
did talk
and
about
double.
kidney swingers at one time.
We did. I didn't say that. He said it this time.
That was you. Okay, and
I
Aaron
might
J,
use
I'd
it.
say, who do you look like? But you are the doppelganger. You're the person that I'm sure people say one day they're going to say.
Solid.
Yeah.
One day people are going to say, "Oh, people tell me I look like Aaron J." So you can't play this game.
I hope so.
You're too famous.
So people, I do get Oakland area rapper E40 a lot.
Okay.
all right.
Okay. We'll have to do a little
That's who
side by
I
side next time you're on. Okay,
Yeah.
this has been a great show. This has been fun. I have learned a lot. I hope our viewers have too. So thank you for all of our docs for being with us, Aaron for being with us, you for being here as always. You'll be back tomorrow.
We'll be back.
Yep, tomorrow is Follow Up Friday. It's simple. We're going to get to the questions that we missed this past week. So Dr. Hawkinson, Dr. Stites will join us for that. So until then, have a great Thursday, and we'll see you back here at 8.
Subscribe to our morning medical update and open mics with Dr. Stites podcasts. Now everywhere podcasts are available.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning for this Best of Morning Medical Update. You can catch our live broadcasts every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And don't forget, you can always email us at medicalnewsnetwork@kumc.edu or reach out to us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We will be back to our live shows 5 days a week starting September 6th. So please go out, make it a great day.